All right. This is Tyler here from Alaska Primary Care Association. My name says Charisse. She is in on the call, but don't be fooled. This is Tyler. I hope you all had a good holiday break with New Year's and Christmas, and now we're back to the first week of classes for 2018. So, although this isn't class today, I hope it'll be just as informational. But the point of this webinar today is to introduce you all to our new on-the-job log tracking system. It's a website. So as I go through this process, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat box or email me. I'll put my email in the chat right now, and we'll address them as they arise. But there's three main goals of this webinar today. Is to introduce you to our new system for on-the-job log tracking. I'll show you how to create your account on the website, and then I'll also show you how to log your hours. The example I'll be using for the account is for a coder and biller. So if you're not a coder and biller, the website might have a few different options than what you'll see today, but the process for creating your account is the same. So with that being said, we'll start this process. This video is also being recorded, so you'll be receiving an email from me after that will have this recorded video with a link. It'll have PDFs explaining how to do this process, and you'll also have all your personal information to create your account in that email. So hopefully we can have all the bases covered here. What you're seeing on my screen will be the first step that we'll be doing to create your new account. You'll have to go to your email. So you'll be receiving an email from me in the future that will look very similar to the email that's on my screen currently. For this example, we'll be using Mickey Mouse will be our name. I hope everyone's familiar with him. So you'll open the email and you'll see your name. So whoever, it might be Dear Melody Lease, Dear Brandy Hayward. For this example, it will be Dear Mickey Mouse. This email has instructions to begin tracking your on-the-job logs by using our website. So the first thing we can actually do is click on that link and go to our website. And I'm going to make this 2 screens so we can see everything at once here. All right. So now that we have this website we're looking at currently is where you will log all your hours, depending on your apprentice program. But this will be the main page you'll be using now. So we are replacing those paper logs and moving to a digital platform. This should make it easier for you, for your supervisor, and for us. And that is the goal. So what we're going to be doing first is we'll have to create our login account. No one has a login account yet, so everyone will have to follow this process. If you read into your email, it'll give us step-by-step directions. So this is a 2-step process. You will need to complete a new account setup. After that, you'll need to input your OJL hours. Here are your new account setup instructions. There's also a PDF guide with instructions and screenshots of this process attached to the email. So we've already done the first step, which is go to the website. Second step will be our clicking first time login setup. So this will take us to a page that has personal information that will be unique to you. So that will be, again, in that email you received from me. For this account we're making, we need to enter our email and create a password. Well, the email that I received it on will be, let me just double check here. So it'll be Mickey Mouse at Alaska PCA.org. I'll create a password and make sure you write down your password somewhere safe or put it somewhere safe where you don't remember. If you do forget your password, there's a process to find that out, but hopefully we won't have to go through that. And I'll be entering my personal information, which is found again in that email. All this bulleted information you'll receive, and it'll be unique to you. So we'll do Mickey Mouse as our last name. Here's your member ID. I like to copy and paste. It makes it a lot easier. Right click paste. And then the phone number as well, I'll copy and paste that. And then you click set up new account. And now it takes a second, and you'll see right here under set up new account it says successful setup. So that means that we entered the correct information and we're ready to log in. So if we go back down to our instruction list, we enter our phone number, our member ID, our personal information. Now we will click, we're on step 9. We'll click login button on the left side of the screen, which is up in the banner on the far left. So now we input that same information, and my computer saved it for me, which is nice. I'm going to copy and paste the member ID up here. And then we'll put in our unique password and then click login. And now this first page you see is your personal information. You can update it if you'd like. It's optional. We do have that information stored elsewhere, so this is not something you are forced to do. But if you want to keep it current, feel free to update that information. But now we're moving, onto the second part of your instructions here, which will be actually inputting the hours that you have been working. So you'll be clicking, following our instructions, the work hours tab, and you'll be looking at that bottom work hours entry. And so our apprentice here, Mickey Mouse, is a coder and biller. So they're going to have a different work type, but when you're inputting this information, you might not have your paper on the job log in front of you, or maybe you don't remember your work types or your work processes right off the top of your head. So what I can do, or what Mickey Mouse can do, if he says, oh, I forgot what exactly my work types are, you can go to our main website, which is APCA apprentice.com, and then under, we'll just move this over here, course info, and then I am a coder and biller. I would click on my appendix, and when you're going through this appendix and you're adding your hours, you can say, okay, those 2 hours I was managing the general office, I was coordinating patients' communication, maintaining certifications and professional development for the staff, or maybe you did more claims processing that day. So you'd add those hours as it makes sense to what you do in the workday, but it's always good to know where your reference material is. And again, that's on our main website, which is under course info, and then your appendix per program. And so now moving on to actually putting in the hours. If our coder and biller is working, let's say today, we worked today already, we time traveled, you would click on the calendar, January 8th, and then, let's see. So we go January 8th, and since we're a coder biller, we would click on work type, and there's a drop-down menu. So we would see our work processes, and I'd say, I probably did about 2 hours of coding and billing. So I would click the right work type, which is applied knowledge of coding and billing. And again, if you want to know more of that information, you can go to your appendix, and there'll be a more defined version of what that work type actually is. But so for this example, let's say I did 2 hours today. So you can do your contractor name. Most of our organizations are in this website, but if your organization does not pop up on the drop-down menu, feel free to email me, but that's not that's an optional choice. So if your organization name doesn't pop up, feel free to leave it blank. But so now I put the right day in, I put the right day in, which is today. I did the right work type. I did my 2 hours. So that all looks correct. I would add my hours, and it takes a moment to populate. But now when you see this screen, that reflects what you just input. So, okay, that's 2 hours, but most of us work 7 or 8 hours in a day. So let's keep going. We'll pick the same date. And then we'll go to claims processing. And again, I did about 2 hours of that today. And so I'll pick my hours, and then I'll leave the contractor name blank, click add, and again, it'll populate. Let's see, and then we're still on the 8th. So we have 4 hours. I did 1 hour of regulatory compliance, going through records, making sure everything was correct. I'll do 1 hour, add. What else did I do today? We're still on 1/8. And then we did a lot of front end duties hypothetically today. So I'll say that's another 2 hours. And then I'll add. And then for my example, I took an hour lunch, so I only have 7 hours to log. But what you can do now is say, okay, for all of the 8th of January today, here are my hours, 2221. Here are the work codes I used. You can look at that, make sure it's correct, and then you're done for the day. What I would recommend would be doing this daily or weekly, just so you can have a fresh memory on the work types you did. You're more than welcome to still use a hard copy of the logs we sent you to track your hours, and then at the end of the month, you can go and input it all at once if you'd like. That will take a little bit more time overall, but you could also just do that once a month if that's your preference. Some people like to do it daily. It's really a personal choice. And that's how you input your hours. And so you'll have, for a month, you'll have a lot of these entries on this page. And the cool thing about this program is, okay, Mickey Mouse has been inputting their logs, but they're a few months into the apprenticeship program and they want to know how close they are to finishing the hours that are required to complete the program. Well, you can go again to this work hours tab and you can click work hours summary, and that'll take you to a new page. This new page will show you in all your work hours by type how many hours you've completed, and then you'll also have month how many hours you have. So hypothetically, by the end of January, I'd probably have about 160 hours. And then as you go on, you'd have February, March, April, May. And if you're behind on hours or something is incorrect, you can always try to catch up or speak to us if we need to make an adjustment. One last note is please ensure that your logs are accurate. Since we aren't doing the paper logs, your supervisor will not be signing off on them every day, but we will be in contact with your supervisors and they will be reviewing your logs and making sure that that reflects the work you did. So again, just make sure you're accurate while you're going. And then are 1 and 2 hours the only options? Leanna has a question. Sometimes in the paper logs, you do hour and a half. You know, Leanna, I think that's very possible, but let's find out. So let's say we're on the 8th, and we did, Leanna, let's say we did claims processing. And what was your question? 1.5 hours? Okay, so we did 1.5 hours today, and let's click add. Individual codes can, okay, so we can still do this. This is just a minor issue. Delete. Okay, so here we go, Leanna. Claims processing, we only did an hour and a half, so let's see if we can split that up. And if we look at our hours, we have 1.5 here, which would be an hour and a half. So yes, to answer your question, we can most definitely do half hours. Will previous work experience be added to this from our initial application? Stephanie, your previous work experience will be added. The first time you log in, your previous work experience might not be there, just depending on how far we get with the data entry. Yeah, but you do have your credit. We will have your credit. As Sharice said, the main thing we're working on is getting you up to speed on the website. But your previous credit will appear. It might not just appear in the first few weeks or so, but it will most definitely be credited. And Lori, we're working on sending out the member ID, your phone number, your email, all that information after this webinar. So you should be receiving an email from us shortly. And that way you can get online and start putting your online logs in and not doing paper logs anymore. Let me just look through my notes. Yes, you. And yeah, Rachel, we will have your previous work experience from your application or what information you gave us before. That will be credited. Again, I just don't know if it'll be on the website immediately, but we will make sure everyone receives their previous work experience. And I'm looking through my notes. And again, when we send out the email with your member ID, that email will also contain information that has this recording, PDF instructions, as well as written instructions. So hopefully that if you have any questions, they might be answered there, or as always, you can email me the specific questions as well. I don't think I have any other notes on this at the moment. Since we're going through questions, are there any other questions that you might have or that I might not have read? Going back through. And while you might be writing a question from your past logs, what we'll do is we'll also get those online as well. You don't need to resend them to us, but the goal is to have everyone have their current hours reflected with their previous experience so that when you are inputting these logs, you'll actually be completely up to date. So when you click your work hour history, your summary, you will be able to have a reflective page that shows you what you're actually at by your hours. So if you have your 1,000 work hour previous experience credits, the logs you've already sent in, we will soon have that information accurately reflected on the website, which means that you can check it anytime you want and check on your process. Let's see. And then all right, well, are there any other questions I can answer? Since we're all here live, I know there's a pretty good group of us here. Or maybe everyone's just so excited to move away from the paper logs, you're speechless. That's how we are too.
Hey, Tyler, thanks so much for going through that. And we will be emailing you, as Tyler indicated, a welcome email, basically a mail merge describing how you can access your account. We're hoping that once we get through the initial grunt work of getting everyone's account emailed to them and set up, this will be a much easier process. And Tyler had lots of great suggestions for either tracking your work daily, weekly, monthly. I wouldn't go beyond probably weekly unless you are keeping track of that on your hard copy OJL. We will be needing your supervisor's email, name, and phone number. So whoever signs off on your log, once you get an email from Tyler with that information to access the website to submit your hours, in response, we would ask that you please email us your supervisor's name, first and last, email address, and phone number, and then we will follow up with them every month. Once we receive your logs, we will send them an electronic version of your submission, and they will sign digitally, basically attesting that you did go through these things while you were at work. So I would just highly encourage you to Reach out to us if you have questions, and bear with us. We will be getting these instructions out to you and also providing a link to this apprentice.org website on our main website, so you can always find it. We have a lot of things in flux right now, but be looking out for that email from us. So what you all can do, many of you have been emailing me your December logs, and thank you for being on top of that. Take those December logs and use those as your first submission. We did receive several, but if you didn't submit them yet to us, please use your paper copy as your first inputting into the system. So I guess Tyler has one last thing to say, and we'll be in touch with this welcome email to get you guys started. And hopefully this will cut down a lot of work on your end with, tallying this up manually. The system will do a great job keeping record of all your time spent in all your related areas. So Tyler, take it away.
Thank you, Charisse. Charisse actually mentioned something that I'm glad she did because I want to point it out. If you do have questions, or if you forget the link to the tracking website, or if you don't know where your appendix is, we try to make our main website, apcaapprentice.com, our main resource for all that material. So currently, if you look next to course info, there's a page called OJL instructions. What that will have is it has the written instructions, and we can click on that, or screenshot instructions, as well as a website link for your tracking hours. After this webinar, we will put a link there to the recorded video, so you'll have a lot of resources. But here are the screenshot instructions, and this will be what you'll be receiving in your email. But basically, it kind of highlights the whole process. So your first time login, your information, and there's a bunch of slides that we won't go through because you will be receiving this email from me. But if you do have those questions, always remember that your apcaapprentice.com website has a ton of resources and information that usually can answer any questions you might have. So I'll end this presentation, and thank you for everyone for showing up. I hope you have a good week, and we'll see the rest of you in classes throughout this week. Thank you again for coming.